Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim and today I'm continuing my playthrough of Skies Above Britain. We are getting ready to start actually into a campaign. I had originally intended to go ahead and make an episode that covered the patrol example in the scenario book. But after having read through it and seeing how little was actually here, I don't think it's really worth setting up and kind of stepping through. We'll basically be able to cover all this as we go through the first chapter of the campaign. So we're just going to jump right into chapter 1, skirmishing over the channel. I thought about another thing I think I had previously mentioned that I was considering was just doing a campaign that started with chapter 3 and then went into chapter 4. Since I haven't really seen any playthroughs of those chapters yet, all the playthroughs I've seen online so far have mainly just been chapter 1, a couple that delved into chapter 2. But then I decided, you know what, let's just do all of them. So we're going to start with chapter 1. If we get a failure result that causes us to lose the campaign, I think it's dismal or whatever is the outcome that is like an automatic loss, then we'll just start a new campaign with the next chapter and continue from there. So I want to cover all 4 chapters. Whether that ends up being a single campaign or multiple campaigns, we shall see. Hopefully we can get through them all in a single campaign with no dismal results, but we'll see what happens. I did also want to mention, as far as optionals, I looked through here and I think I'm going to do the confirmed kills optional rule, which makes it a bit tougher to get aces. Basically, you have to get four fighter kills to equal a confirmed kill. They still count for a VP, but it's just when deciding if you get an ace skill. It has to be 5 confirmed kills. So that can either be bomber kills, which are automatically confirmed, or each 4 fighter kills will count as 1 confirmed kill. So we probably won't get as many aces as we would have otherwise, but I like the sort of additional realism that this brings in, taking into account pilots who claimed they got more kills than they actually did. So that'll be interesting. I thought about this weave optional, but it just looks a little bit more complexity than I want to add for what looks like very little effect. The random events definitely look fun, so I'm going to do those. That's all of those pages there. And then graduated replacements, we're going to use this as well, which makes it a little bit more interesting. There's an error in the book here. That's actually supposed to be a 5. The chart on the back is correct, but the one in the rules themselves was incorrect. That was in the errata. The moved/dogfight markers, it's not really an optional rule. It's just some extra markers that you can use to keep track of things if you want to. I'm not sure that'll be necessary. And then I am going to go ahead and try out this break optional rule. It may never get used because it requires using the break veteran privilege, which is only possible when using the advanced squadron display, which is only possible if I think there's an ace skill that allows you to use that. I forget what it's called now, innovation or something like that, or innovator. So we'll see. That may come into play, but it doesn't look that complicated, and basically just instead of an even odd result to see what happens if you choose break, it gives you more of a table that you roll on to get several possible different results. So we'll go ahead and use that one as well. So basically all of them except for weave. And I don't know, when we go along, I may take a closer look at that weave, and maybe we'll introduce it at some point. It's only usable in chapter 1, I believe. Yeah. So take a closer look at it. Maybe I'll consider throwing that in too. That way we'll be using all of them. But that's what we're going to do with the optionals. And then I think we're ready to jump into our scenario setup. I already have the, get this box out of the way. I already have our squadron set up over here. Going to go with Spitfires for this campaign. And I have our inbound raid, our inbound vector markers set up according to chapter 1. So you put 1 here, 2, 2, 4, and then 2. And the mix of those will vary as we go from chapter to chapter. By the way, chapter 1 will involve 6 patrols. So we'll be at it for a little bit. I think I'm just going to do 1 patrol per episode so that it doesn't get super lengthy. I know that last one covering the interception scenarios got a bit long, about 3.5 hours. So we'll try to keep these a bit shorter as we go through the campaign. So I started to set up the outbound vector markers, but there actually aren't enough to put on all the rows. So I think the intention there is to just, once you find out where they make their turn, then you just set up the ones for that row. So we'll wait and do that later. Got all our cards shuffled and ready to go. We don't know what kind of bombers we're going to see yet, so I left those out for the time being. And yeah, so let's continue on with the chapter setup, or the patrol setup, I guess. Find chapter 1 here again. Yeah, so after the, I guess I should read the intro here too. Channel War, 10 July to 10 August 1940. France is still falling, but already that fight spills over into the stretch of sea between Britain and the continent. Convoys ply along Britain's coast and to ports elsewhere, and the Luftwaffe's opening moves target those ships and perhaps the ports in easy reach of its air assets newly stationed in France. Or will they launch a raid deeper into England? All right, so as I mentioned, it's 6 patrols. I guess I should have read this. It says don't place outbound markers yet. Randomly draw raid vector markers and place them on the track as shown, which we did. And then squadron formation marker. So we find out whether we're going to start deep, middle, or on the coast. So we roll a die, and based on what we get, we'll determine where we start. And we got an 11, which will be on the coast. That's good, because in this first chapter, they're going to tend to drop their bombs pretty early. So starting on the coast is definitely advantageous. The only downside is we have to spend 3 fuel right off the bat. But we probably would have spent that if we were further back to try to get closer. All right, so we'll put our squadron marker there. And then we start with 20 pilots. We've got all of them over here. And Only 12 can fly on each patrol. And then we roll a die on this pilot assignment table to see how many greens, how many regulars, how many veterans, and whether or not we have anyone with an ace skill. So let's do that roll. And we got a 2, so gonna have a bunch of regulars. 1 veteran and 1 green. So we will randomly choose who's going to be our green and who's going to be our veteran. And I haven't named them yet. I'll do that here in a second. I'll pause the video and come up with some names and see who's who. All right, so our green pilot is going to be Pilot B. So we'll put a green marker with him. And our veteran is going to be L. We'll flip that over to his veteran side. And then everyone else will be regulars. All right, so we'll have to decide who we're going to send. We'll definitely be sending the green and the vet out on this first patrol. The green because we want to get him as much experience as quickly as possible. So he's no longer green. And then the veteran, of course, we want to have him out as much as possible, be able to take advantage of his benefits. Just to cover that real quick while we're talking about pilot skill. Of course, we know what effects green has. We've seen the effects on the dogfight, or the results on the dogfight and the bomber cards that only affect green pilots. As far as veterans, they have a privilege that they can use. I believe this is once per patrol. So we'll basically rotate them or something once they've used it. But discipline, they can cancel a low ammo result. Practiced maneuver, during a slip, they can replace the results with a slip, but there can't be a green pilot in the section. So if you draw a card and if you're doing a slip and you draw a card and it doesn't have the slip result on it, then you can basically make it as if there is one. Pull tight during a turn maneuver, replace dogfight results with a tight turn. Must be independent or section leader. But this one you can have green pilots in your section. So again, if you do a turn and don't get the tight turn result, you can make it as if there is one. And it's a tight turn with no effect. Stay close. In a section, cancel a result applied to a green pilot. And it only affects, you can also use it in the bomber formation area if both of them are making the same approach on the same bomber. So that could come in handy. Follow my lead. When tailed, cancel an icon result on a dogfight card. Must be independent or section leader, and the maneuver must be evade. And then pluck, when section leader, add +1 to a die roll for chase, intercept, or suppress escort, or use during a fate check. The nice thing about this one is you can decide to use it after you've rolled the die, which is pretty sweet. So you don't waste it. All right, so those are our veteran privileges that our one and only veteran will be able to take advantage of. So let's see what we've got next. We need to determine starting visibility. So we'll roll 2 dice. We'll have the red die be what the visibility is, and then the blue die will be where the sun is, unless we get one of these results where there is no sun. So let's see where that ends up. And we got 12 and 7. So yeah, we got clouds, no sun, which is not good. Clouds, no sun. And we'll just leave the sun marker here since it's not in use currently. And then next up, we see, well, not next, but when it becomes time to determine where the escort stations are, we roll a die and find the results. So if it becomes clear by the time the raid marker is placed on the raid track, we'll do it then. Otherwise, if it stays cloudy or hazy, we won't get to know what they are until we make contact. Okay, and then this page is just for once we do make contact, we'll find out what bomber configuration we have, what type of bombers they are, and then what the layout will be for that. And I think this one, there's a thing too, if it's cloudy, we'll see. I know there's something where, depending on the visibility, we may not know the bomber formation as early as we otherwise would have. Okay. So I think that's it for setup. Other than I need to assign the pilots to their sections. And then I need to give everybody a name. Let me pull out the... and show you the chart or roster that you use to track everyone. Come on. So they have an option where they provide like pre-filled in rosters with actual historical names. This is for 303 Squadron. And then they also have one for 54 Squadron with the actual pilot names that were in that squadron initially, at least. We're not going to do that. We're going to make up our own because it'll be more fun. I'm going to use some viewers' names in here, as well as probably just make some up if I don't come up with one. I am going to follow the convention that a lot of people do where Pilot A will have a last name that starts with A and so on and so forth. So we just have a little bit of variety. But this is where you designate your pilot names, and then as they go on patrols, you can see for each chapter, you just indicate, fill in a little circle if they went on patrol for that time. Looks like chapters 3 and 4 are actually 8 patrols long. And then record their escort and bomber kills, if they have any ace skills, and then any sort of notes that you want to put in there for that particular pilot. And then on the back, they give you a pretty decent stack of these. And I'm sure you can download and print off more from the website, GMT Games website. So here's where you keep track of your patrol and campaign. And this is where basically where you keep track of your victory points. So every 4 escort kills, you'll get a victory point. You basically total up everything from the front side for that patrol. And keep track of that here, so then you can, and how many Keta were isolated. Of course, this only matters before they drop their bombs. How many VPs you earned, and then how many pilots had to bail out, wounded, or killed. And then any notes that you want to attach there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording, and get the pilots named and assigned to their fighters, and then we'll get right into the action. All right, so I've got all of our pilots named. We've got Allen, Bailey, Childers, Dean, Ellsworth, Fulbrook, Grigsby, Hooley, Irwin, Jap, a reference to Poirot there, Kershaw, Lloyd, Miller, a little nod to Brian Miller, designer of Silent War, Northcott, Ox Spring, yours truly, Phelps, Rathbone, Timmons, Upchurch, and nod to the game designer here, White, one of the game designers. If White goes down, then he'll get replaced with Willis. All right, so those are going to be our pilots, and I've got them arranged or assigned to their sections. So we've got Bailey, who's green, teamed up with Lloyd, our veteran, and Rathbone in red section. We've got White, Allen, and Jap in green section. Miller, Childers, and Fulbrook in blue section, and Ox Spring, Dean, and Ellsworth in yellow section. And then everyone else is chilling out, waiting to go on a future patrol. All right. So I think with that, we're ready to get started. The first thing we need to do, since we're using the random events optional rule, is roll to see which one we get. And you'll see they vary depending on which chapter you're in. So let's see which random event we have. Number 4. 4 is going to be night duty. Let's see what that's all about. One of your pilots is called up for a night patrol. Select a pilot, but not a green pilot. Credit that pilot for flying one patrol and check for landing. Roll a die. If you roll a 1, fog shrouds the aerodrome and he fails to return and is not seen again. He returns safely if you rolled a 2 or higher. If he returns and is assigned to this upcoming patrol, he is automatically exhausted after that patrol. All right. Well, I'm going to say that we're just going to choose from the ones that I didn't already assign, because if I had done that before I assigned them, I would not have assigned them to this patrol. So let's see. We've got 8 pilots that aren't currently assigned, so we'll have one of them fly the night patrol. And we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if we roll anything else, we'll just roll again. And we got a 3, so it's going to be Phelps. So I flew a night patrol. So I get credited for not sure exactly how to mark this, because this would be if I flew on this patrol. I'll just put it over in the notes, I guess. Night patrol. And we'll just Put a 1 there in case I get it again later. So I've been credited as having flown on the patrol, so just 4 more to become a veteran. Oh, then I got to roll to see if I actually make it back. That would be terrible if I'm knocked out before we even get started. Okay, I made it. So yeah, that's gonna be it. For the random events. All right, so let's get into our sequence of play. Where did I put the sequence of play? Is a good question. Right here is the answer. All right, so we're starting up here with the RAID vector sequence, which we haven't seen before. That patrol example kind of walked through it, but it's pretty straightforward, so we'll just go through here. So first is the reveal step. So we start revealing these inbound vector markers, and you reveal all the ones in the current stack that's to be revealed. So it's either going to be the stack that has the RAID marker above it, or before the RAID marker comes out, you just work your way from right to left. And then we'll resolve whatever symbols appear on that. So let's see what our first one is. It is weather. So let's check and see what we need to do to resolve that. Inside of the player aid is all of our symbols, so we don't have to keep looking those up in the rules. Visibility changes to haze. If haze already, it is now clouds. So getting slightly better visibility. All right, let's see what our next one is. It is a straggler. So we place a new bomber marker in the lost contact area, assign a section or fighter to attack it. Fighter must be lost contact. Section spends 1 fuel. If you're doing it during the bomber rounds, you play bomber rounds without interruption. Surviving RAF fighters return to base. And there are no approach penalties on round 1, and you do an escort reaction, but all you check for is clouds, escape, and ambush. Okay. Now what it doesn't say here is that this is optional. We don't have to go after it. And I don't think it makes sense to at this point. I think you can actually, and it doesn't mention it here, but I'm pretty sure in the rules it says that you can choose to make someone lost contact to go after it. If this result happens during the RAID vector sequence, you may assign 1 or more sections to attack it. They do not need to be lost contact. And then there at the bottom it says you don't have to do it. So yeah, we're just going to ignore that. I want to focus on the main bomber formation. So that's going to conclude the reveal step. In fact, here in this little flow chart, you can see it says for the intercept straggler result, yes, you go down to the bomber cycle, no, next vector icon or marker. So we don't have any because that was the last one. So now we go on to the fuel step. And I believe that just means we spend fuel. Yep, each section spends 1 fuel. Okay. Next we go to the contact step. The raid marker hasn't been placed yet, so we're not able to contact them yet. So that's going to be a no. So then we go to the vector phase, I guess it is. And for the vector phase, we make an escort exit check for each escort station marker on the interception map. There are none yet. Then you may take actions to improve your squadron's situation. You may either move or reform or do nothing. You can't both move and reform. Then restart the raid vector sequence. So if we choose to move, we can move to an adjacent zone or change altitude. We can do both, but then we have to spend an extra fuel to do that. I think we're okay where we're at, because more than likely we're going to get at least one raid marker, raid result on one of these 4 markers. And so you'll notice for the coast zone, that's considered to be you're considered to be in the same zone if the raid marker is either here or here. Once we get to here, then we would be adjacent to it. We'd have to move over here if we wanted to be in it. But I think we'll stay where we are, especially since we had to spend the 3 fuel to get there to begin with. But we will go to high altitude. And the reason for that is when we do attempt, well, it's not really an attempt, when we choose to make contact, we're better off if we're flying high. Because especially if we're in the same zone, because you have to roll to see what approach you make to the bomber formation. And if you are high, you can spend a fuel to start anywhere where there's sun, which right now we don't have sun, but maybe it will change and we will. So it's generally a good idea to try to be in a high position prior to making contact. So that's what we will do for the vector phase, and that takes us back to the reveal phase. So again, the raid marker isn't on the map yet, so we're just revealing the next stack from right to left. And our first one is, okay, that's a turn, and then Messerschmitt. So this one actually has 2 results on it. You resolve them top to bottom. So let's see what that turn result is all about. Turn point. Roll a die even, shift the sun clockwise. If odd, shift counterclockwise. If no sun, visibility is now clear and the sun's position is, and then you roll to see where the sun is. So we are now clear with sun. And we will roll to see where the sun actually is. We got a 7, which is starboard. So the sun marker goes up here. All right, and then we do a Messerschmitt's result. Draw one Luftwaffe Advantage card, select a section. It spends 1 fuel. If no section, select a fighter. And if we were in the deep zone, which that's what this is showing here on the board, if you're over here, if you get that Messerschmitt's result, you actually treat it as a straggler. All right, so we're going to have to do a dogfight against with one of our sections. Let's get a Luftwaffe Advantage card. And let's go over here and see who it's going to be. Nine. It's going to make it blue section. And hopefully we can get this over and done with in one round. Otherwise, blue section is going to go lost contact. Let's see what we got. We're tailed by a swarm. If the German fighters are 110s, a veteran may... Well, we don't have a veteran, and I don't believe they're 110s. Let me check. I believe that since we don't have any escorts out yet, that we use 109s. The rule book will give more detail here than the player aid does. Who fights? Section at random. Oh yeah, it says one section or RAF fighter is attacked by 109s. So the Messerschmitt's result is always 109s. And did it say that on here too? No, it didn't. But yeah, in the rule book it specifically says 109s. So we've got a swarm of 109s on our tail. It's not really going to help us at all. Well, I mean, it could be potentially victory, work toward victory points, but I don't know that we really want to fool with these guys that much. We want to try to get this over and done with. So let's see. Let's do... maneuvers. Here they are. Let's just do an evade. Tailed. Okay, so it's a section, and we are going against 109, so it's these top ones. All right, so we did manage to shake them. We choose this one. So they vanish. We take a hit and we have to spend a fuel. Let's get that fuel spent for blue section. And let's see who took the hit. Three. It's going to be blue 2. It's a cockpit 8. So hit check. Need an 8 or higher. Nice. And it was over in one round, so we do not go lost contact. Which is perfect. All right, so that fully resolves that one. Our next one, there's the raid marker, or the raid result. So let's see what we do here. Raid marker not in play, it is not. place it in the vector marker space. If visibility is clear, place escort station markers and escort stations on the interception map. It is clear now, so we will be doing that. And then if the raid marker is already in play, we'll get to see what happens in that case next time we get one of those. So we move the, I guess these are supposed to be down farther to have room for the raid marker. So the raid marker goes there. So we now know where they are. And since the visibility is clear, we go ahead and put out our escorts. So for that, we need to go back to the situation manual for chapter 1. And we will be rolling on this chart to see where our escort stations are. A 12 here would be just lovely. We got a 7. It's pretty much the lower you get, the worse it is. So 7 will be middle of the road. 6 to 7, we have 109s ahead and 109s high. Neither of them heavy. The high ones are the ones that are the worst, because they have the worst, the most effect on your interception attempts. So we got 109s in the high station and 109s in the ahead station. Right. Yes, ahead and high. All right. Then we have a, and this is perfect, and I'll tell you why in a second here. We got a flak result. So we draw a damage marker, and it will get automatically put on the bomber formation once we lay them out. But that's not why this is so great. I'll tell you why it's great here in a second. So we got an engine. I believe, I'm going to double check for this, but I thought I remembered seeing or hearing at one point that the flak damage is always on the Hurricane side. But in this case, it doesn't matter. But I will confirm that. I guess we should have looked at the player aid, since this is the first time we've seen this. Number equals damage markers and hit markers. Yeah, that's right. If our fighters were in the were already in the bomber formation and one of those gets pulled, then your fighters also take flak damage. Page 52. Let's see what it says on page 52. Yeah, so this gives a more detailed description of it. If I can get it in the camera here. Note the number printed. Draw that many damage markers. Yeah, Hurricane side up. Just HUR though, not HURR. And check for catastrophic effect, if any. You don't get VPs though if these destroy a bomber. Place them randomly on bombers. 1 damage marker per tile, starting with the tile. Well, first, 1 marker per tile, selecting the largest contiguous set of bomber tiles. And then place 1 damage marker per tile, starting with the tile with the fewest fallen, destroyed, and damaged markers. And then if there's no bomber tiles yet, you just place them on the interception map. And later we'll apply them as described above. And then here's the bit about friendly fire. And then this is what makes this so great, is we get this tally-ho option. If the raid marker is on the raid track, it is. Excuse me. You may spend 1 fuel to immediately perform contact. So we don't have to wait until those other 2 flip, which might, if we get another raid result, what's going to happen is they're going to drop their bombs. And we won't be able to score victory points for isolation. So being able to contact them now is awesome. Squadron must be high altitude. Oh, this is the other reason you want to be high altitude, is you have to be high altitude if you want to make contact from a tally-ho option. And then if you choose not to do any of that or can't, you can spend a fuel to either move adjacent or to change altitude. If you perform contact and the flak icon is on the same marker and above the raid icon, postpone applying the raid result until the raid vector step of the interception sequence. Yeah, so that's the other thing you can get lucky, is if you've only had 1 raid result and you pull this one, and as long as the flak icon's on the top, you can make contact with the raid before they drop their bombs. You just have to do this later during the interception sequence. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We are going to make contact. So we have to spend a fuel. And then let's see how this works. Contact, yes. Contact allowed. You may perform contact if the squadron's formation area marker is in the same zone or an adjacent zone to the raid marker. It is. We're in the same zone. So we use the contact tables, and we'll be using the one for in the same zone. And we roll a die. We modify by -1 for same zone, -2 for adjacent zone if we're in the clouds, +1 for high altitude if you're in the same zone only, which we are, so we'll get that modifier. And then basically this is going to tell us where we can enter the raid. But remember, we also have the option to spend a fuel to start in any position in the sun. So we may exercise that depending on what we roll. So we'll roll a die, add 1 because we're high, and then that'll tell us where we can start, and then we can spend a fuel to make an adjustment to that if we choose as well. So let's see what we get. And contact is automatic. It's not possible to fail to make contact, but then interception is another matter. Ooh, we got a 1. Which modifies to a 2, which would be tail low, or we could spend a fuel to go tail high or flank low. And I don't think we want to do that. We want to spend a fuel to start in any position in the sun instead. So we will spend a fuel. And we're going to start starboard high, which is in the sun, because the sun is starboard. All right, then, since we've made contact, this is just talking about adjustment, and then in the sun, must be in the same zone as the raid, and must also be high. Okay. This just mentions if any of our fighters were lost contact when we made contact with the raid, then they would automatically RTB. All right, so contact ends the raid vector sequence and initiates the interception sequence. And if there weren't already escort markers on the board, we would put them on now. But we do place the bomber tiles. So we need to roll. And oh, here's the clouds exception for this. So if it was still cloudy, we would defer this and leave it empty until a fighter enters the bomber formation area or visibility changes. So basically you'd have to do a successful interception before you would actually put the bomber tiles out. But in this case, we get to see what we're up against. So once again, referring back to the situation manual, chapter 1, we have our bomber configuration chart. So red die will tell us what bombers we have, blue die will tell us their formation. And we're hoping for Stukas. And we got 8 and 4. So it's going to be Junkers, and a 4 means they'll be in this 7 tiles in a V formation there. So let me get that set up and we'll be right back. Okay, we have our bombers set up, and then remember we had our engine damage from the flak earlier, so we need to find out where that's going to go. Let's do 1 through 7 to choose the tile. Let's roll a 10. There we go, 6. So it'll be this tile, and we'll do the standard. Choose the bomber. 5 is going to be 1 through 4, 5 through 9. So it'll be that one. So he gets an engine hit, which automatically causes him to fall out of formation. Put him back here. And we need to get a Junkers lone bomber tile. So that's what we have to start with. This can now go back onto here. And now we end the raid vector sequence immediately and go to the interception sequence. So we need to give some orders to our sections and or flights and or squadron, depending on how we want to divvy this up. Let's take a look at our interception possibilities. If we just ignore the escorts and just go after the bombers, let's see what our chances would be. So we are in, we're approaching from the flank. We're high, and there are stations in the ahead and high stations. So we take whichever one's bigger. So a 6 or a 10. But then since we're coming out of the sun, we have the option to roll 2 dice to get it. I think it still might be worth trying to suppress these guys so that we just have a 6 to deal with instead of a 10. So what I'm going to do is split off let's split off. B section had a dogfight earlier. I think I want to keep my veteran in the bomber formation. So let's do, we'll split off green section. Give them a separate order. So green section is going to go after the escorts. And the remainder will be, going after the bombers. And I think these guys they're still considered to be high as well. All right, so we've given our orders. Now we go to the intercept phase, starting with the escorts. So let's see if they manage to intercept. We're going to go after the ones in high station, which unfortunately, no, they'd be in the sun if the sun was at tail. So they're not in the sun. I don't think that matters for the interception, but so we're approaching from flank high. The escort type is 109, and they're in the high station. So we need a 9 or higher, and then we get the out of the sun advantage, so we get to roll 2 dice and add them together. So we need a 9 or higher on 2 dice to have RAF advantage rather than Luftwaffe advantage. And yep, we got 12. So they will come off because they're going to become lost contact. You automatically go lost contact when you're given an escort order. And who just said there was green section, right? We'll just fight it over here. So we'll get an RAF advantage card. And it's we are tailing a swarm. And it's going to be 109s because that's the type of escort station that we're intercepting. Behind you, if heavy escort, add a rota, but it's not heavy. So we are tailing a swarm of 109s. So we could just let them go. Let's see what are we going to need to be rolling here for suppression. So we're going against light, and we only sent 2 to 3 fighters. So we're going to need a 6 or higher to suppress, 9 or higher to what am I trying to say? Reduce. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what? I think we're just going to let them go. Like I said, we're still lost contact, so it doesn't help with that. But at least we don't risk taking any damage. And hopefully we can get them to join back up with the bombers soon. So yep, we're just going to let them go. That's an option that you have when you're tailing. You don't have to engage them at all. You just let them go. Ends the dogfight. And now we can roll on the escort suppression table. So we need a 6, at least a 6 to suppress. A 9 will reduce them. Didn't get it. That is a shame. All right. That means we next go to bomber interception. So for that, what we just looked at a little bit ago, we're flank high. We do have escorts in the high station, so that's going to be our highest number that we got to roll against. And so we need a 10 or higher, but I'm going to use, we have an option here with our out of the sun privilege. We can either roll 2 dice to and add them together, or we can choose to ignore all hits on the first round of combat. But since it might be kind of tough for us to get a 10 on one die, we'll do the 2 dice option. So we need a 10 or higher to successfully intercept the bombers. Oh, come on. Saw that 7. I was like, yeah, we got it. No, a 1. All right, so we failed to intercept the bombers. Which means we have to draw a Luftwaffe advantage card. And let's see who has to take them on. It's probably just a random section. Here we go. Failure. If you used a column other than the no escort column, which we did, your formation is intercepted by German fighters. It has lost contact, and German fighters from the station engage the sections of your formation. Draw a... Ooh. So everyone goes lost contact? Yikes. Draw a Luftwaffe advantage card for each section in your formation and immediately play the dogfight. Use Luftwaffe fighter markers that match the escort station type. There is no escort suppression check. Wow. So all of our sections have to dogfight and they all become lost contact. That's terrible. So everyone is now lost contact. And red, blue, and yellow each have to do a dogfight. So let's see what red's up against. Behind, or head on, behind you. It's not a heavy escort. So head on with a Rota. 109s. We do have our veteran here with them, so potentially we could cancel a low ammo, or there's not really anything he can do against. Just have to think. I wasn't close enough. That I rolled an 8, right? We needed a 10. So yeah, even my veteran, if I used his pluck, we wouldn't have been able to succeed that interception. So, all right, here we go with a head-on card for them. We are a section against a 109. So a green guy becomes loose. They vanish, and we take a hit. I think I will use his stay close option to cancel that green becomes loose result. So we just have them vanish and someone takes a hit. Let's see who. It is 9, which is red 3. It is a wing 4. So hopefully that's trivial. Yes, indeedy. All right, blue section. Luftwaffe advantage card. Another head on, stay on them. If they're 110s, they are not. So again, head on with a Rota. Oh, I need to indicate that we used his privilege too. Let's see, we're a section against 109. So they vanish. We take a hit. Green becomes loose. We don't have a green pilot here. But then reinforcements, we're now being tailed by a rota. So this one vanishes, but then another one shows up behind us. And we take a hit. Hit goes on. Number 7 is Blue Leader. It's going to be a Fuselage 5. Hit check. Ooh, he's gone. That was, who's C again? Childers. Childers is our first pilot to go to the Fate box. Fuselage. All right, now we're being tailed. Let's try to evade. Draw 2. And we're a section against 109s, so it's either loose fuel and a green hit or loose hit and reduce. I think we do the loose fuel and green hit. So they become loose. We'll have them stay on blue 3. And then one of them, or no, we spend a fuel. There was no hit, right? This is blue. Yikes, he's getting low. And then we get an automatic reduce result from the evade. Blue 3 is now going to evade again. And this time we're a lone fighter. So hit and reduce or hit and vanish, which are equivalent. So he goes away. We take a hit. It's a wing 5. Hit check. 6, so it's trivial. And then we have yellow section. Put this up here. Luftwaffe advantage card. Head on with a rota, hunt in the sun, clear or haze only. If escort station, it must be in the sun. It is not. It is an escort station, but it is not in the sun, so we don't apply this. So head on with a rota. Section against 109s. Ooh, we get a hit. Someone goes low ammo, green. We have no green pilot in that section, and they vanish. So that was a pretty good result. So they vanish. Someone goes low ammo. 7 is going to be leader, yellow leader. And then who got the kill? 11. So yellow 3, which is Ellsworth. gets an escort kill. All right. That concludes that. So now let's see where we're at in the sequence of play. That was our bomber's step. We failed, so we went to the dogfight cycle. And then on resume, we resume the interception sequence. So we don't have any cruise orders. Oh, these guys are lost contact too, so they're no longer on the interception map. And yeah. So now we go to the entropy phase. There are no fighters in the bomber formation, so we skip that. We have an escort reaction. It's not cloudy, so we can ignore that. High station, we get one card from that, and we get one from ahead. But let me check and see if those only apply to if there's bombers in the formation, or fighters in the bomber formation. So let me check on that. Nope, sorry. I was not supposed to draw an escort reaction card. You only draw it if there are fighters in the bomber formation area. So ignore that. We'll shuffle it back in. And that will take us to the chase step of the entropy phase. So we can RTB, we can reform, or we can chase. I think with Blue Fuel's fuel situation where it's at, I don't think it makes sense to reform. I think we just want to have them attempt to chase. Let's see, it's light with clear visibility, so yeah, they got a pretty good chance of catching them. And since they're individual fighters, they will get to go right into the bomber formation area. So I think that's worth trying to do. In fact, we may just do it with everyone. Well, the others, if they chase, they go back onto the interception map. And then we'll have to try to catch them. Catch them again later. Yeah, let's do that. So everyone's going to attempt to chase. We'll do the two lone fighters first, blue 2 and blue 3. Since they're lone fighters, we have to roll 2 dice and take the lower of the 2. And we need a 6 or higher. So this will be for blue 2. Nope. And then blue 3. Oh, and we got a 1 actually, so they get jumped by, they get intercepted. So Luftwaffe advantage for blue 2. They are head on with a rota. It's not a heavy escort. So rota head on for blue 2. And head on lone fighter. He goes low ammo. They vanish, but then reinforcements show up on our tail. So now that we're being tailed, I think we try to evade. Hit or vanish. We'll take the vanish. All right. Then blue 3 will attempt to chase. They do not make it either, and 3 means they get intercepted as well. They are head on, and it's not heavy, so we can ignore that. Uh, 109's head on with the lone fighter, vanish, and green pilot takes a hit, so just a vanish. All right, let's see if our sections fare any better. They just have to roll 1 die, 6 or higher. So let's try red section. No, and they get intercepted. Wow. This is bad. Really bad. It's not heavy, so ignore that. Head on with a rota. Lloyd has used his privilege already, so no help there. Head on section against 109s. They vanish, reinforcements, and we take a hit. Oh, you know what? I hope I didn't mess that up earlier. I just remembered. I don't know if we had this situation before. Let me resolve this first, and then I'll talk about what's going through my brain right now. So 5 is going to be on leader. We don't do this hit check yet though, because we're still in the dogfight cycle, because we just resolved the head on and now we're tailed, so we have to resolve tailing. And so if I did that before, where I resolved the hit check first and then did the tail result, that was incorrect, because now that we're damaged, we can't do a maneuver against this. So I may have to review that and make a correction there if I messed that up. So now we're being tailed and we can't maneuver. So it's a section against 109s, and the green guy becomes loose, and we take a hit. So who gets the hit? 1, it's our green Bailey. We're still being tailed. So now we do the hit checks. So that's a wing 3. So fuselage 11 on red leader. Oh, so close. And then wing 3. Okay, he's good. But red leader. We'll say these guys would have stayed on the section after the loose result. Red leader goes into the fuselage fate box. And now red 3 is still being tailed, but he can maneuver this time, so he's going to evade. And we've got lone versus 109 now. So either, well, we should have done a turn apparently. Either hit and reduce or hit. So we'll take the hit and reduce, because then the automatic reduce will get rid of them. But we suffer a hit. Cockpit 9. Whew. Trivial. All right, green section. We'll try to chase. Finally. So they are no longer lost contact. And then we have to roll to see where they come in at. 4 means they'll be trailing low. So green section is all the way back here. And yellow section. Four. Well, they failed, but at least they didn't get intercepted. So they're still lost contact. So we only managed to get one section back on the interception map, which is not good. Not good at all. All right, so that's going to take us to the patrol complete phase. No, it is not complete. So everyone spends another fuel. Blue is now on low fuel. There's no escort recovery because we didn't manage to suppress any. Now we see if the escorts exit. So for this, we look on the space where the raid marker is. And you see there's an 11 there. 109 escort reduced. So if we roll an 11 or higher, we will reduce, I believe we roll it for each one. Once we get to here, then you can start rolling to see if the 110s turn back. Yep, just confirmed we roll that for each escort station. So we'll start with the high. That's one we really want to get rid of. So we need an 11 or 12. Nope. And then the ahead station. Oh, so close. All right, so none of the escorts exit. Next is channel patrol. So if we're in a coast zone, which is up here, so this only really applies to when they're returning, when the raid is returning. So we check, like if the raid marker was here, then we would have to roll a die, and on a 10 or higher, we would get a Luftwaffe advantage card and have to initiate a dogfight. But there are none of those numbers down here. So channel patrol doesn't kick in until the raid starts returning to France. So then we have the reform step. So we may want to do something here. So two different things can happen here. On the interception map, two sections at the same position and altitude may combine into a flight. But we only have the one section on the interception map. And then lost contact RAF fighters may join their section if it too is lost contact. Or you can have 2 or 3 lost contact fighters from different sections form a section of their own. So I believe we could have blue. I don't know. I think if they're lone, it's 2 or 3 from different sections. I'm assuming that 2 from the same section could just reform as normal. It says lost contact RAF fighters may join their section if it too is lost contact. So I don't know if it means you have to have 2 that are already part of a section, or if 2 individual fighters can reform that way. I'm going to assume that they can. If I find out differently, we'll amend this, but so they're going to reform, and that costs them a fuel. So now they're on empty. They're going to just end up returning to base. And then we'll have the red section do the same. They'll reform and spend a fuel. All right, so that's the reform step. And then raid vector. So now we have to go back to revealing the rest of the inbound vector markers in the space with the raid vector marker, or with the raid marker. So hopefully we don't get our second raid result here. And nope, we did. So we get 2 flak. But I guess we will have a chance to, or no, we have a chance to make contact, but we already have, so that won't matter. So 2 flak, so we'll draw 2 damage markers out and assign them to bombers. And this is where if we had managed to intercept the bomber formation, our fighters would have also taken 2 flak. These go on the her side. So we've got a wing. And we've got a fuselage of 12 that'll make it drop. So it said you assign these to the tiles, the largest contiguous block of tiles, which right now is all of them, and to different tiles, and you prioritize the ones that have the fewest number of markers already on them. So basically this one's out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the blue die will tell us which bomber it is. So 10 is going to be this one. And it's number 2, which would be this one. So that gets a wing damage on it. And then now this one gets left out of the mix. So we just have 5. So we'll do 1 to 10 and ignore an 11 or 12. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the red or the blue die was a 5, so it's going to be this middle one. And then we'll roll to see if he actually does fall out. And he does not. And then we have, what do I do with it? Here it is. Our second raid result. So let's see what happens there. All right, raid marker already in play. If the raid marker is already on the raid track, bombers drop ordnance. Remove all inbound vector markers from the track. Move the raid marker to the turn space. If the sun marker is on the interception map, roll a die and move it to a new position. So all the rest of these come off. since they're in one of the first two spaces, you'll notice these all go to that. These two go to that turn space. These two go to that turn space. These two go to that turn space. So the raid marker moves to there. And we roll for a new position of the sun. We got a 1. Which is odd. So the sun is currently on the flank. And if it's odd, it goes to the other flank. So the sun is now port. And that completes the resolution of that. And that completes the raid vector step. So we swirl again. So we're back to orders. So we have green section on the interception map that we need to give an order to. I think at this point we just need to try to make a dash for the bombers, see if we can get lucky. And at least get something shot down. At this point, isolating Ketas provides no victory points since they've dropped their ordnance. So let's see what our chances are here. We're trailing, which is the worst. We're trailing low, so we're going to have to spend a fuel to do it. And we have fighters, we have 112 or 109s in the high and ahead. So again, 12 is going to be the higher number. So we have to get a 12. We can spend a fuel to try again. So this is about our only chance to get some victory points here. So we got to go for it. So that's our orders phase. Sorry, jumping ahead here a little bit. So intercept, all we have is a bomber's order. So we check to see if we succeed or fail. We need a 12. Nope. So on a failure, we get a Luftwaffe advantage card. Sorry, here. And I believe it said we automatically go lost contact too, which is pretty painful. Intercept bombers, failure. Intercepted, it goes lost contact, yep. So the green section is lost contact again. So they will come off the interception map. And we get a Luftwaffe advantage card. Suppose we could have spent a fuel to try to re-roll there, but I think at this point it's pretty much a lost cause. All right, tailed by a swarm. And in this case, I believe it's just they're coming from one of the escort stations, but neither of them are heavy. So we're being tailed by a swarm of 109s, I presume. Where are we at here? Use Luftwaffe markers that match the escort station type, 109s or 110s. So I guess it's whichever escort station you were using the column for in in the interception check, which in our case, they're all 109s. So, all right, so we are being tailed. I guess we could try to get some victory points here, or work towards some victory points by trying to turn into them. So why don't we do that? We'll do a turn. So it is a section against 109s. The turn is successful. We spend a fuel and go low ammo. Someone goes low ammo. So green section spends another fuel. And somebody goes low ammo. 8. It's going to be green leader. Turn is successful, so now we're head on with the swarm. And head on 109s against the section. A green takes a hit. No one in that section is green. They vanish and someone goes low ammo. So unfortunately we didn't get a damage result. So they vanish and someone goes low ammo. 7 is going to be green leader again. So he's out of ammo now. All right. That will take us to the entropy phase. No one's in the bomber formation, so there is no escort reaction. Chase. Oh boy. I feel like we gotta try, right? And we can split our fighters to allow them to attempt to chase individually, which would put them directly into the bomber formation. So I think that's what we do. We're going to have each of them break into lone fighters. Well, green leader is going to RTB at this point. So he goes back to there. Everyone else will go ahead and see if they can catch the formation. Remember, we got light. Light escort. Visibility is clear. Not sure how that got pushed over there, but it is clear. And yeah, so we need a 6 or higher, but we got to roll 2 dice for each of them, since they're all going to be individual fighters. But if they succeed, they just go straight to the bomber formation area. All right, red 2. Yes. All right. Got 1 in. Red 3. Yes. All right. Green 2. No, and he's intercepted. Section only. It's not. He's not a section, so he's being tailed by a swarm. try to evade. You know what? Let's turn into them. Gotta try to get some victory points somewhere, right? Hey, it worked. Single against 109. Turn successful. It reduces them. And they are now head on with us. Now we draw a head on tailing card. Head on lone fighter against 109s. There we go. Vanish, low ammo, and a hit or a damage. So the pilot of green 2, which I just realized I have these backwards on here because I put them out as 2-3, but up here it's 3-2. So let me reverse these. Who did I give credit to that other kill to then? I think it might have been the wrong person. It was Ellsworth. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking Ellsworth was in yellow 3, but he's actually in yellow 2. So that should have been Oxspring. Get these all flip-flopped. I know, it doesn't really matter, but that's who I was thinking was in those planes, so we're going to do it that way. And I'll start putting the, I never realized they were numbered that way. I'll start putting the 2 over here and the 3 over here. All right, so let's fix that one first. Not Ellsworth, but Oxspring got one. And then this was green 2, which is Jap, Inspector Jap. All right. And what else did we have there? We had low ammo. And then Vanish. Okay, next is yellow 2. Yes. Might be able to make something out of this after all. I said yellow, but I meant blue. Blue 2. Now blue 3. No, but he does not get intercepted. Only on a 1-3. Now yellow 2. No, and he does get intercepted. Go all the way over here so we can put the tower here if we need it. Luftwaffe advantage card. They're not 110s, so it's just going to be tailed by a swarm. Let's try to turn into him again. Get a tailed card. Single on single. Green pilot takes a hit, so no effect. So we're still being, the turn was unsuccessful, so we're still being tailed. And we'll try to turn again. Hey, this time it worked. So we go low ammo. And now they're coming at us head on. Head on, single fighter 109. They vanish and we take a hit. It is a wing 9. Trivial. They are still lost contact. Now we can do our chase attempt for yellow leader. And looking for a 6 or higher. He makes it in. And then yellow 3. No, and intercepted. Hunt in the Sun. Remember if did Chase come? Well, neither one of the escort stations are in the sun, so. Or does Chase? Can't remember. There's some situations where the Hunt in the Sun still applies as long as there's sun anywhere. I don't remember which those are. If drawn as a result of chase, Messerschmitt's, ambush, or channel patrol, it doesn't matter where the escort stations are as long as there's sun on the map. So yeah, Hun is in the sun. So we're tailed by a swarm and head on with a rota. And where did I put that swarm? Here they are. So head on first. Single fighter against 109s. They vanish, we take a hit, and reinforcements. Yikes. So now we're being tailed by a swarm and a rota. And we took a hit, which we don't check for yet. So we will not be able to perform a maneuver against either of these. It's a rudder 10. And then tailed by the, we'll do the, excuse me, do the swarm first. Tailed, we take a hit and they get reduced. It's an elevator 8. Oops. And then for the rota, it's just a hit. Yikes. Wing 7. All right, we'll do them in the order they were received. So the first one is a 10. No. So he goes to the rudder. Fate box. And that was yellow 3, Ellsworth. Okay. I guess we could put Green Leader's pilot back with him as well. Okay, that does it for the chase step. So let's see where we are now. Patrol complete. No. Fuel. So blue is on vapor now. If we should have just had them RTB. Oh well, we're going for broke here. escort recovery, none of them were suppressed. Escort exit. So now that we're on this turn space, our exit number for 109s is a 10. So high station, looking for a 10 or higher. Yes, so they get reduced, which means in this case they go away completely since they're already light. And for the ahead station, yes, they also go away. So that's good at least. Nothing for channel patrol yet. Reform. Let's see what our options here were again. We have no one on the interception map, and lost contact fighters can join their section. If it is also lost contact, spend 1 fuel to do this. So I don't know that there's any point in doing that here. I think we're just going to try to get what we can with these guys. And I think everyone else that's lost contact is just going to go home. There's no reason to waste fuel. The only one that could do it would be green. They could reform. But yeah, they're down to low fuel already. So we'll just bypass that. And then we go to the raid vector sequence. Okay, so I think at this point, when we put the marker on the turn space is probably when we should have populated this track, because now we know which track we're going to be on for the outbound. So let's do that now. And these all just get 1 each. So just to confirm here, raid vector step. Yeah, it says reveal raid markers, or reveal vector markers in the raid marker space. If space is already empty, which the turn space is always empty, move the raid marker to the next space and reveal the vector markers in its new space. So we will now move the raid marker to here and reveal this one. And it's new trade. So let's see what that means. New trade. No raid marker on the raid track. Apply raid result. Raid marker on the raid track. Isolate the rearmost bomber tile. If no tiles in play, determine bomber type and place tiles, then isolate the rearmost tile. Okay, so all that's going to do is automatically isolate the rearmost tile, which would be either this one or this one. It makes no difference here, I don't think, so we'll just isolate this one. And that would, if it was before the bombs were dropped, that would not count as a victory point for us, since we didn't cause it. All right, and then we swirl again. So we skip the orders and intercept phases because we have no formations on the intercept map. So we go right to the entropy phase. So bomber formation. Yes, we do have fighters finally in the bomber formation area, so we can make some attacks here. Well, obviously, I think it makes the most sense to go after the isolated tile and this lone bomber. We want to try to get, at least try to get this, and we're going to have to come in from the flank, otherwise we're going to have a delay. So let's send, I'm going to send a backup just in case one of those, well, actually that's not even a backup. We need 4 hits on this guy. Wondering if I should just, because it's very unlikely that we send one against, just one against here, and he's going to take something down. And I'd hate to come away with nothing when we could have just all piled on the one. So yeah, we're going to do that. I mean, the nice thing is if we get a second engine result, it'll go down as well. So yeah, I don't want to chance it. I want to try to, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I want to try to make it as high probability as possible that we get a victory point out of this. So we're going to do that. We never did select our bomber cards yet. We are medium bombers. So we're using the medium deck. Get that shuffle here real quick. And off we go. So we are a lone bomber coming starboard or port. Okay, there's a damage and a low ammo. So he's out. We do get a damage. And yeah, we're on the Spitfires. It's a wing. Remember, this one's on the her side because that was from flak. All right, next. Yellow leader. Guns are jammed and a collision check. Yuck. So jammed guns. And collision check. Anything but a 1. Okay, good. Although we would have gotten the victory point for the bomber if he had collided, so there's a silver lining, I guess. Red 2. There we go, damage and low ammo. Let's give us another engine or a cockpit so we don't have to worry about the last one. Engine, there we go. 2 engine hits. That's enough to destroy a Junker. And that was Red 2, piloted by Bailey, our greenhorn. He gets a bomber kill. And that will be a victory point. We do still have to draw a card for Red 3. And they get damage and low ammo. So just the low ammo applies. We disengage. We do hit checks. We don't have any. Fortunately, there was no return fire there. And that'll conclude the bomber cycle. So we go back for escort reaction. This time we do need to draw it. Even though there's no escort stations, we still have to check for clouds and ambush. Which clouds doesn't matter because it's not cloudy and there is no ambush. So nothing to do there. So that's going to take us to chase. So So everyone that's lost contact can either RTB, reform, or attempt to chase. Look at our fuel situation. Blue, we definitely want to RTB. And then we also have to check and make sure we're not in one of these channel recovery spaces when they RTB, because if so, there's a possibility that if they end up having to bail out from being so low on fuel, that they might go down in the channel. But they're not, so blue 3 can safely RTB with who's our F guy? Fullbrook. I mean, yellow's still got a decent amount of fuel left, so we could maybe have them take a chance to try to chase. And green, I don't know. Let's do this. We'll play it safe with green. We'll send them back home. They will have to make bailout checks. So that's W was in 2, white, and 3 is Jap. Okay, and then for those who don't know, I'm not being racist with that name. Inspector Jap with 2 P's is from Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot novels. Yeah, and then we'll play it fast and loose with yellow 2 or yellow 3. Yellow 3? Yellow 2. Let's go ahead and put him over here so we remember he's number 2. He's going to try to chase. And he makes it. So he will join the bomber formation. See if maybe we can get one more down. All right. Do still have one from blue here, so he's going to have to. We're down to patrol complete. No. Fuel, so we have to push all the fuel cubes. And then since blue is already on vapors, they have to immediately RTB. And the only blue that's left is blue 2 over here. Piloted by Miller. All right. Next we have escort recovery, escort exit. There are no escorts left. Channel patrol. We have to start checking for this now. So on a 10 or higher, we're going to have some fighters that were out over the channel or responding from the coast of France to mess with us. So we don't want a 10 or higher. Good. Then we have reform. No one's lost contact, so we don't need to do anything there. Raid vector. Ooh, the only thing I just realized, though, this is now going to put us in the channel recovery, channel bailout spot. This could be bad. Probably shouldn't have done this. Okay, Messerschmitts. That's how you learn though, right? By doing. Make mistakes. Then you say, I won't do that next time. Draw one Luftwaffe advantage card, select a section, it spends one fuel. If no section, select a fighter. Okay. I believe you only have to spend a fuel if you're a section. So we'll just select a fighter. We have 4 of them here. So 1 to 3. Oops. 1 to 3, etc. 10, 11, 12, right? So it's going to be this guy. So we'll pull him over here, I guess. He's not a green fighter, so head on with a swarm. And these are always 109s. Lone fighter against 109s. Hey, look at that. They vanish. He goes low ammo. But gets a kill. So chalk one up for the pilot of Yellow 2, which is Oxspring. That's his second one. Remember, though, only every 4 counts as a confirmed kill for ace status. So, yeah, and then they vanish. So that's that. And it was over in 1 round, so they don't go lost contact. Still in the bomber formation, although they have no ammo, so they're going to be RTBing. All right, so then we swirl again. Skip, skip. Bomber formation. All right, we're gonna, you know what, we're not gonna do anything with these guys, so I'm just gonna stack them up out of the way. And we're solely going after this one, trying to get lucky. These 2 are going to RTB. So yellow 2 and red 3. But then since the yellow goes here, red goes here, blue's all back, so we can take that off. Green is all back as well. Since the raid marker is in a spot with this channel bailout icon, we need to mark these guys so that we remember when we roll for their bailouts. They also have to roll, or when we roll to see if they bail out, if they do, we'll also have to do a channel recovery check. So who is this again? Red 3, which is Rathbone, first name Basil, and then yellow 2, Oxspring. Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the rest of these. We're going to have them approach this bomber from the flank. And again, we're just trying to get a lucky shot here. So, isolated tile, starboard. We get a damage, low ammo, so he's out. This is red 2. And 5. There's only going to be 3, so we don't cause distress. Let's see what the damage is. Come on, cockpit. Engine. Okay. Well, he falls out. Now we got to see if yellow leader can finish him off with his guns that are jammed. Lone bomber now. Nope, we just got a tail gunner or a dorsal gunner result. Well, maybe. We have to roll for it. So if it's even, it goes through. It does not. His guns are no longer jammed. But now he's out of ammo and takes return fire. We draw a return fire marker, which is the back of a hit marker. And low ammo, which has no effect because he's already out. So that was good. Okay, so that does it for them. Did not get lucky. No hit check. Resume the entropy phase with escort reaction. Again, just looking at the clouds and ambush. Nothing. That takes us to chase. Nothing to do there. Patrol complete. No. Fuel. So these guys both get pushed. Nothing to do for escort recovery or escort exit. We do need to check channel patrol, which is now on an 8 or higher. No. Reform, nothing to do. Raid vector. And it's a straggler. I think only lost contact can go after those, unless let's see. Place a lone bomber marker in the lost contact area. Should match those in the bomber formation. One section or one independent that has lost contact may attack it immediately. If it happens during the raid vector sequence, you may assign one or more sections to attack it. They do not need to be lost contact, but they must spend 1 fuel. You can assign one or more sections to attack it. Okay, but not lone fighters. Unless lost contact, you may not assign a lone RAF fighter to attack the straggler. So they can't come from the bomber formation area. Not that we have anybody anyway. They're both out of ammo. But that's good to know. And swirl again. So skip orders, skip intercept, entropy. We go to bomber formation. Both of these guys are going to RTB. Again, possible channel recovery checks for them. Yellow leader is going to go here, which is Dean. He gets a channel recovery marker. And red 2, which is our rookie, our green pilot Bailey. They all also get a channel recovery marker. So this could be bad if those guys have to bail out, because it's very difficult to recover from that. Okay, now skip this because there's no bomber or fighters in the bomber formation area. No one's lost contact, so no chase. Patrol complete, yes. All right, so let's find out what happens to everyone, or what happened to everyone. It already happened, we're just now finding out what it was. Uh-oh. Had a crash here. What happened? I think I messed this all up. Bailey was our green. He was flying red 2. Miller was flying blue 2. There we go. All right, just getting some stuff out of the way so I can slide this back. All right, so for our ones in the fate boxes, we have, what was that again? Childers, yeah, Joe Childers. In fuselage box, we're flying Spitfires, so we're over here. So we're going to need an 8 or higher for him to make it back. No, 2. He's on fire. And a 9, he manages to bail out. So Childers goes to the bailout box. I'll have to sit out the next patrol. Then we have Lloyd, another viewer, Michael, I think. He gets a 3. He also catches on fire. And a 6 puts him in the hospital. That was our veteran too, our one and only veteran. All right, and then we've got Ellsworth with a damaged rudder. He gets a 10, so he manages to land that puppy. So he's good to go for next time. All right, now we got all of our RTBs. So unless they're in a box with a bailout roll, then they just come back fine. So Allen is fine. Let's see about these two. They bail out on a 1 because they run out of fuel coming back. So let's check out Jap. Ooh, pretty close. So he'll be able to fly again next time. White gets a 2 as well. Wow, cutting it close there. So we got those 2s out of our system. Because this next pile will be on a 1 or a 2, I believe. Yes. And these will all, if any of them do bail out, we'll have to do a channel recovery for them. So Dean. No. Oxspring, our Messerschmitt killer. No. And then Red 3 piloted by Rathbone. Safe. All right, then our our guys that are running on vapor. Got 3 of those, but only one of them was out over the channel. 1 to 4, they bail out. So let's check Bailey first. Whew, close. And then Miller. Yep, he bails out, but he wasn't over the channel, so that's fine. And then Fullbrook. He does not bail out. All right, so we ended up with 1 in the hospital, 2 that had to bail out. Everyone else made it back safely. I think considering how sideways things went there, that's not too bad of a result. So let's get all this recorded here, and we can wrap this up. So we need to mark everyone that was on the patrol. So Allen, Bailey, Childers, Dean, Ellsworth, Fullbrook, Grigsby didn't go, Hooley didn't go, Irwin didn't go, Jap went, no Kershaw, no Lloyd, or no, we did have Lloyd, Miller, Northcott didn't go, Ox Spring did, Phelps did, but he didn't do much. Rathbone. Or no, Phelps didn't go. He went on the night patrol. That's right. Not bad. And then White. That should be 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. Okay, so that's everybody that went. And then on the back side here, let's put, looks like we got room for 2 per thing here. So it's going to be Chapter 1, Patrol 1. Escorts killed. We had 3, right? 2 by Ox Spring and 1 by Jap. So just 1 more and we'll get a victory point from that. Bombers killed, only 1. Keta isolated. So we got 1 victory point total. 2 pilots bailed out. 1 was wounded, none killed. All right. Well, we got 5 more patrols to step it up here. That's going to wrap it for. Well, let me see. Actually, do we check for our replacements now? I don't think we qualify for any though, because we didn't actually. I think when they're in the hospital, they still count as being on our roster. Yeah, here we go. So for the graduated replacements, we determine the current number of pilots in the squadron. You must include pilots in the bailout box and in the hospital box. Do not include dead and captured pilots. And subtract that from the maximum number of pilots allowed, which for chapters 1 and 2 is 20. So that determines your pilot deficit. So we aren't at a deficit right now. So we don't get any replacements yet. So yeah, that's gonna do it, I think, for first patrol of chapter 1. So thanks everybody for watching, and hopefully in patrol number 2 we'll have a little bit better luck and get some more victory points. So if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.